As you can see from the video, very impressive, yeah, and I really recommend that brothers try and go to the exhibition because you can really get to learn a lot from that, inshallah. Now the first thing you'll notice if you go to the exhibition is that they make a very important and a very major point, which is that Islam never had an issue with science and technology. It was quite the opposite, that Islam promoted scientific and technological progress. And one of the indicators for this is that in this golden era, which many people accept to be the 8th century to the 13th century, it was actually the masajid that were the centers of learning in the communities. Yeah? And there was actually one masjid, it's called El Zaytuna Masjid in Tunisia. And that mosque had 100,000 books in it. So what would happen is that the people in the community, they would come and they would learn in the masjid. And they'd learn Islam and they'd learn Arabic, but they'd also come there and learn about mathematics, astrology, engineering, and all of these disciplines as well. And also what would happen is that universities which would start to branch off from these masajid, yeah, and then the places of learning would start to be focused in the universities. And even if you look at the name of university in Arabic, the name of university in Arabic is Jami'ah, which is the feminine term of Jami', which is masjid. So even in the nomenclature, even in the naming, there's a close link between Islam and science and technology. And brothers, at the time, the Muslims and the Islamic State used to have the best universities in the world, yeah, the premium universities. So in cities like Cordoba in Spain, in Baghdad, in Cairo, Damascus, we really had the best universities in the world. You know how nowadays people come all over the world to study in Britain and they come and study in America? Back then it used to be opposite way round. Yeah, Europeans and people from Asia, they used to come and study in the Muslim universities, yeah, and learn from those. And brothers, we even used to have, subhanallah, we even used to have a university in a place called Timbuktu. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard of this city, Timbuktu. Most people don't think it exists. Yeah, so they did a survey in 2006, and 34% of the people didn't know it existed, and 66% of the people thought it was just a made-up fairyland kind of place. Yeah, Donald Duck escapes to Timbuktu in the cartoons. Yeah, but Islam put this place on the map, and it built a university there that actually accommodated 25,000 students. Now, 25,000 students is a lot, and even from modern standards, that's a lot of students for a university. So Islam, it took knowledge and it took science to every corner of the world, yeah, even in places like this in Timbuktu. And there's another very important institution that the Khulafa at the time, especially in the Abbasid time, they actually personally interfered in and personally set up. And this institution was called Bayt al-Hikmah, the House of Knowledge. And in this institution, the scientists, they translated a lot of works from the Greeks, the scientific works from the Greeks. And the aim behind translating this is so that they could know all the progress that's been made, and then they could build on this progress themselves. So Bayt al-Hikmah, it became like world-renowned, yeah, and almost it became the center of learning for the whole world. And what scientists would do is they'd come to Bayt al-Hikmah, and they would learn about the previous works, and then in that institute they would work to try and advance those fields. And this institution actually had a major impact on science and technology. And one of the most renowned graduates from there, or one of the renowned people that worked there, was Al-Khwarizmi. And he was somebody who pioneered a lot of work in mathematics, particularly algebra. So he actually established algebra and number zero as well. And it was even said that, when the Mongols attacked Baghdad, and they invaded Baghdad and they burnt it to the ground, they destroyed Bayt al-Hikmah. And it said that for 6 months after they destroyed Bayt al-Hikmah, the river Tigris ran black because of all the ink from the books that they threw in the river. So can you imagine for 6 months how many books there must have been in this institution? And this institution actually made Baghdad the most prosperous and the most famous and the biggest city in the world. So it attracted so many people there that Baghdad actually had a population of 1 million people. And we're talking about 1200 years ago. Yeah, so it's a massive, massive city. And one of the reasons for this is because it housed Bayt al-Hikmah. So we've established that Islam's got no problem with science and technology. In fact, Islam promotes progress in science and technology. And the Muslims, this mentality was built in the Muslims from a very early stage. And the reason why they wanted to progress in science and technology was for many reasons. And one of the reasons was because they wanted to make Islam and they wanted to make the Ummah the best Ummah in the world. Yeah, they wanted to make Islam superior over all the other nations. This was the fundamental drive with the Khulafa and with the scientists. So as we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس, that you are the best ummah raised for mankind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق. He it is who has sent the message and the guidance, he it is who has sent his messenger with guidance and the religion of truth, so that he may make it dominate over all other religions. Yeah, so this fundamental motivation moved the Muslims to progress in science and technology. And also, the Muslim scientists, they wanted the sadaqah jariyah. Yeah, so if you were to advance in a field and progress in a field, and this advancement benefited the Muslims and helped them, yeah, that scientist, he would get the reward from that advancement. Yeah. So if you made something, so for example, one of the things that they used to do is that they used to try and solve the problems and make it easier for Muslims to do their ibadah. Okay, so if you wanted to find out the prayer times, at that time there was no way of doing it. So the scientists, they would try and progress in this field. And that's why they produce clocks. That's why they produce compasses, so you could know where the Qibla is. Yeah? They produce these things called astrolabes. Yeah? They're these devices that can tell you the time, they can tell you when the prayer times are, they can tell you the direction of Qibla, and it was portable as well. Yeah, so it's quite a sick device, yeah, that I actually wouldn't mind having now, yeah? That you could carry around whenever you needed to know when to pray, etc. This device would tell you. Now, imagine developing these things. Imagine how much reward these scientists would have got for that. Yeah, because every time somebody uses it and then prays, he'll get reward of that. So this issue, this concept of sadaqah jariyah, yeah, this ongoing reward, this is what really pushed the Muslim scientists. Also, for example, they developed algebra so that it'd make it easier to calculate the inheritance. Because if you have a big family, yeah, calculating the inheritance can be quite difficult and complicated. So this even spurred them on to advance their knowledge in mathematics and algebra in particular. Now, another thing that the Muslims really advanced in is issues where they'd have to look after people, yeah, specifically in the field of medicine. And there's many hadith where Rasulullah tells us that we have to look after people and we have to ease their hardship, etc. So one of them is, none of you is a true believer unless you love for your brother what you love for yourself. Okay, and another one is, whoever helps to remove the hardship of his brother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ease his difficulties in this world and the hereafter. So imagine you've got this mindset, yeah? You've got this motivation. This is what made the Muslims progress in medicine, for example. And as I said before, Ibn Sina, he was renowned for being the father of modern medicine. Yeah? And he wrote an encyclopedia that was used for 800 years. The Muslims, they pioneered the first complex surgery. So for example, surgery of the eye, cataract surgery. Yeah? So if you can imagine how delicate the eye is, Muslims were doing surgery on the eye about 800, 900 years ago. Muslims developed surgical tools, yeah, like scalpels and forceps and this sort of thing. And if you go to hospitals now, the tools look very similar to what the Muslims were using about 1,000 years ago. The Muslims were the first ones that practiced caesarean section, yeah, i.e. delivering babies by caesarean. And at the time, a lot of women, they used to die in childbirth because they couldn't get the baby out. But the Muslims, they pioneered this new innovative technique, caesarean section, where they could get the baby out. Yeah. So the Muslims, they progressed a lot in the field of medicine. We had the first hospitals with running water. We had the